Hello, welcome to Module 7, Chapter 1. We're going to be talking about the statement of research purpose. How do you write an excellent SOP, right? Before I go on, I would like to tell you what the SOP is. The SOP is I call it a big picture that tells your life story, your research life story, right? It's the most important document in your application. It is what the committee are going to read and they're going to know if they want to give you admission or not. Every other document is a supporting document. The heart of your research is the SOP. So you want to be detailed about it. You want to be excellent in writing. You want to be thoughtful. You want to write a very rewarding SOP, and I'm going to help you do that. Right. So the SOP have various considerations you must have in mind, and I've mentioned 8 considerations here, right? And I'm going to show you an example of a well-written SOPs and what to consider the structure. So the first thing here is you want to arrange your thought into sections of paragraphs, and you don't want your SOP to be more than 2 pages, right? So you want to make sure your SOP is no more than 2 pages, and every thought is in a different paragraph. And I will tell you which thought should come first. Each paragraph should address major areas, right? So those paragraphs are going to be, go in details and expatiate, those interests. The third one is your motivation for choosing your undergraduate courses. Why did you did the bachelor's in that your undergraduate area? If you had a BSc in political science, why did you go to do that? Background about your degree, what course you took, how they helped you, your best semester GPA, why that semester stood out, any award. So you're going to highlight your strengths, right? Courses you took. Highlight any undergraduate research done, major contributions and findings. So if there's any work you've done with a professor, or most importantly, your undergraduate project, this is where you also talk about it, right? Why have you chosen the current school for master's or PhD? There are so many schools in the US. There are over 5,000 universities in the US for graduate program. Why have you chosen that school? Yeah, you're applying to. You have to convince them, right? The area of research, what professors would you like to work with? You have to cover all those. What will you do with the degree? What's your short-term and long-term goal with the degree? 1 year time, 2 years time, against 10 years, 20 years time. What's your plan when you get the degree? Do you want to continue working in industry? Do you want to go into academia? Do you want to come back to your country and work with the government? You have to talk about those things. You have to express interest for funding opportunities. You have to let them know, I'm interested in funding GTA, GRA. I am much interested in funding. And let's take a quick dive into an example. So here is an example of an SOP I guided my past client from last year, and this client actually got his admission, and she is currently in the United States pursuing her master's degree, and it's important to look at how we broke it down, right? So we have the name, the last, first, and the middle name. We have a title, statement of purpose, and we're applying for fall 2023 Masters in Art Geography. So it's important to give this nice title. And then we broke down our ideas into paragraphs, right? For the first paragraph, we do the introduction and motivation. So what motivated you to do a bachelor's in this in your undergraduate? So that's where we cover this. We give a summary or a paragraph, a detailed explanation of the introduction and the motivation. In the second paragraph, we cover research background, right? Courses this client took, the courses you've taken undergraduates, especially the ones that are relative to what you're doing, that you want to pursue. So you just mention those ones, academic achievement and others. So you have to mention those ones, right? In the third paragraph, we talked about detail on research or research. There's some collaborations or achievements. So if you won any award, you attended any conference, you gave a speech, some research you've done, maybe this is where you also need to dive into your undergraduate work. What did you do in your undergraduate? Which professor did you work with? What did you find? So this way you may talk about it. In the next paragraph, we talked about what research do you want to do in grad school. So here you're now moving forward. Now, if you go to this grad school, what research are you going to be doing, right? What will you do with the degree, right? And and the application. So how will you apply the degree or your research to solve life problem? So this is paragraph is going to cover that. The next paragraph covers why have you chosen the university. It's important to mention why you chose that university, the one you want to apply to, not the undergraduate one, but the one you're applying to. And what professors have you identified? And why did you choose those professors? Is it because their research is aligning with your interests? Why? You have to answer that question in this paragraph. The next paragraph, which is the last paragraph, is a conclusion paragraph, and there you're going to go and summarize your the benefit of having that degree. You know, if you have a master's or PhD, what will be the long-term goal? You talk about opportunity for funding, right? You also express opportunity for funding, and we can just dissect this real quick. I'm going to read it real quick and see what this person say, right? All right. As I read. Growing up in my country's capital, Abuja, in Nigeria, provided me with the opportunity to understand the operations of metropolitan areas. Far from the rural areas and most small cities around Abuja, the capital city has the infrastructures and amenities that attract people. Over the years, it became clear to me that the ever-growing population, which boosted the economy of the city, had left devastating mark ranging from congestion, indiscriminate waste disposal, disease outbreak, land use conversions, and conflict. The thought of fixing the inherent problems in metropolitan areas in Nigeria, especially as pertaining to proper zoning and adherence measures, mapping of suitable sites for landfills to address these issues of waste management and solve the environmental problems of land use conversions and conflict motivated me in choosing geography as a discipline. So now this person is talking about why she chose geography as a discipline. There were some problems, right? In terms of, she mentioned this area of congestion, overpopulation, indiscriminate waste disposal. As a result, which is consequently, she said, I developed a zeal towards geography and took the plunge by applying to the University of Abuja with the aim of acquiring skills that would transform into finding lasting solutions to these land-related problems in an urban environment. All right, that's why she chose geography on the undergraduate. Now, in the next paragraph, she's going to be talking about research background, courses taken, and academic achievement. So let's look at that. The decision to solve these line-related problems using GIS informed my choice of courses taken during my undergraduate study. Apart from enrolling in general courses in geography, I took more courses tilting towards my interests such as Geographic Information System (GIS), remote sensing of the environment, map analysis, cartography, air photo interpretation, quantitative techniques, land survey and evaluation, climatological courses. These courses help to build skills in the use of geospatial tools and the application towards environmental resource monitoring. Examples include ArcGIS for map production and analysis, cataloging, geocoding, and the application areas such as change detection, resource monitoring, forecasting, and predictive modeling. Receiving distinction in most of my courses, I graduated top in the Department of Geography and won the Vassar's Award as the best in the department with a cumulative GPA of 4.60 and a 5.0 scale. Alright, you don't have to mention the GPA if you don't have it, but you can talk about other things, right? But before I go into that, let's look at this. So here you talk about the courses you've taken. I want to note here, you'll not be able to mention all the courses in your transcript, but you can mention few courses that are related to the new areas. That's the catch. Not all, just the ones that are going to be related to the new field you're going. There must be something related, even if it's one course, two course, you have to mention it. And then you can talk about other achievement, like okay, you did your undergraduate project and it was mind-breaking research, and the department applauded your research. That is very important. You can mention that. In the next paragraph, we're talking about detail on research collaborations and achievement. All right, I'm not going to read this paragraph, but I want you to know that in this paragraph, this person highlighted her focus on her undergraduate research and talk about some of the problems of carbon dioxide emissions in overcrowded areas. So you can see that. And she also mentioned the lecturer she worked with, and this is very important, and what they covered. So that is where the collaborations come in, right? So you can do the same. You can mention your undergraduate project, summarize your undergraduate project here, and mention which professors you work with and what's the goal, what's the finding from your research. All right, let's move to the next paragraph. In the next paragraph, this person covered what research do you want to do in grad school, right? And this is very important. Okay, let's look at this. What will you do with the degree and all that? My objective is to advance my skills in the application of GIS, right? To identify the effect of extreme weather and climate conditions such as high temperature, rainfall, flood, drought, heat waves on the human population, agriculture. To examine how climatic events affect environmental resources in the urban regions. To compare the values of results with the United Nations Organization standards. To examine the possible health effect of extreme weather conditions on the studied population. My research will be a handy tool for use by the Nigerian Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Population, as well as the environmentalists for remediation. It will be a benchmark upon which pragmatic measures and decisions regarding the indiscriminate human impact on the weather and climate use will be based on in the future. As a result, aid in updating record of patterns in Nigeria. My study aims to contribute to knowledge by developing a model for predicting the nature and intensity of climate change in metropolitan area in the future. The experience we apply to curbing human impact to the environment, which invariably affect the climate over time, as well as ensuring sustainable cities. My final objective will be to continue with the doctorate study and in return go into academia with the goal of teaching what I learned by collaborating with research institutions and groups across Nigeria and globally, enhancing knowledge of climate change and the impact using GIS. I plan to give back positively to my host community and my nation in the long run. A degree earned from the University of South Florida Geography program will not only be beneficial to me by enhancing my skills in applying GIS to population, agriculture, vegetation, and environmental resource and climate-related studies, but it will also benefit my community and country through research that will help to explore future outcomes, from policies or actions to set proper guidelines and principles for policy and action. This is very important. So here she's going to cover talking about what she's going to be doing in grad school, why she's going to be doing it, what she will, how she will use the degree to better her host community at the end. And it's very important to talk about that. All right. In this next paragraph, second to the last paragraph, she's talking about why she did extensive research and why she picked the school. She says it's about 15%, the top 15% in the US. She also talked about why the department was important, which professor she has mentioned, and how she have expressed her interest. She said, I have expressed my interest to Professor Jennifer Collins, whose research areas aligns with mine. So I've talked about this contacting professor. So when you contact professor, you can boldly talk about it here. That I have expressed my interest to this professor because this professor's research area aligns with my interests. And that is why that will help. Because this committee are going to send your document to this professor and ask, hey, do you know this person? And then they are going to be, so yeah. And then you talk about what the person's research area is in and why you want that area, right? And that is very important. So, yeah, so you see here she said that her research gave me a variety of options cutting across methodological and climate factors. So it's very important you talk about why you chose the department, which professor you have identified, what's their research area, and how will their research help you. The last paragraph is going to focus on conclusion, right? Mentioning long-term goals and opportunity. I'm going to read this to you right now. She said here, I'm aware that my decision to study at the University of South Florida will not be a smooth ride, but demands hard work. I'm confident that my commitment to teaching and research will make me an excellent addition to the University of South Florida's graduate program in geography, as I'm prepared to take the hard way. Hence, I appeal to the graduate committee to consider my application for admission and funding. Specifically, I would like to be considered for teaching assistantship position to enable me achieve my dream. This can be written in a different way, but the key word here is she want to be considered for graduate teaching assistantship position, right? I hope to bring in diversity to the. They want to see what like diversity. Okay, I'm a black person. I'm going to bring diversity. I'm going to try to join groups. I'm not just going to be a person who is going into book alone. I also want to learn the socio-cultural aspect of other culture, and I want to learn. So right, so this is very important. And then she says, at the end of the day, after my study, I want to also uphold integrity and the values of the university because I want to become an excellent ambassador. So this is very important to catch what to say. Okay, I want to be an ambassador of this university. Every grad student is an alumni, and you become an ambassador. So you want to be a good ambassador to the grad school. All right. To summarize, your SOP might be a little bit different, but I hope this gives you a clue on how it should be written in terms of the various parts. These parts are consistent. I want to let you know that I'll provide you the sample as guide. I'll also provide you other SOP, several other SOP samples in other areas. So it guides you. But most importantly, these are steps. Also to mention, these SOPs may not flow exactly the same. They may be rearranged in other ways, right? But it's always good to make sure that things are connected. And then you want to follow these paragraph strategies. And I hope this helps you. All right. I'm going to be talking about more on letter of recommendation in the next module, and I hope you stay tuned. Thank you for this, and see you on my next one.